In example one, we're going to build something called an amortization schedule. So if you read the first bullet point there, it says an amortization schedule is a complete table of periodic loan payments showing the amount of principal and the amount of interest that comprise each payment until the loan is paid off at the end of its term. Okay, so basically what an amortization schedule is, okay, it's a table, okay, and what it's going to do is going to show how each regular payment goes towards paying off the interest and paying down your purchase price. Okay, so it is very specific. It shows how each payment works. Okay, how much of the payment goes towards interest, how much of the payment goes towards knocking down the purchase price. Okay, so let's take a look at example one. Okay, so it says, suppose you buy a new washing machine from the Home Depot and pay off the $584 purchase price with quarterly payments for 1.5 years at interest rate 17.6% compounded quarterly. Construct the amortization table that models this situation. Okay, this is a very real world kind of problem. Okay, my washing machine broke not too long ago. Okay, so I found myself in this kind of situation. Okay, so what we're going to do is build an amortization schedule for this washing machine purchase. Okay, so what's going on here is if you go and you buy your washing machine, okay, if you don't have the $584, I cannot say this price, $584 to buy the washing machine, then you're going to have to finance it. Okay, and so you're told the interest rate, so the unpaid balance will accumulate interest. Okay, so we're going to walk through this and we're going to see, we're going to first calculate our quarterly payment here. Okay, and then we're going to build a table that shows how each quarterly payment goes towards paying off the interest and paying off the $584 purchase price. Okay, all right, so in step one, because like I said, the first thing we have to do is actually calculate the quarterly payment because we're making quarterly payments here. We're going to come up with the quarterly payment that we're going to have to make for 1.5 years in order to pay off this washing machine. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and identify the variables. Okay. D is the debt in dollars. Remember, that's the purchase price. Okay, so that's $584. Okay. M is the number of compoundings per year. That also coincides with how often you're making payments. Okay. Everything is done quarterly. Okay. Quarterly payments compounded quarterly. Quarterly means 4 times a year. Okay. Time in years. How long is it going to take you to pay off this debt? Okay. We're trying to do it in 1.5 years. Okay. So time has to be 1.5. Time has to be measured in years. And then your interest rate as a decimal. Here it is, 17.6%. You might think that's a really high interest rate. It is. When you're buying something, usually you're going to find a pretty high interest rate. Okay. High interest rates when you purchase something, low interest rates when you're trying to save, unfortunately. Okay, so if we convert this to a decimal, this is going to be 0.176. Okay, all right, the other thing I'm going to do, and we're not going to need this for the formula, but we are going to need it for the amortization schedule. We need to compute the total number of payments that we're going to have to make. Okay, so remember what you're doing here. Okay, you're making quarterly payments, so that's meaning you're making 4 payments a year. Okay, well, I'll write it this way. So we're making 4 payments per year for 1.5 years. Okay, so we need to multiply those two numbers together. Okay, 4 times 1.5, and then you'll have years in the top, in the bottom, and they'll cancel. Okay, so 4 times 1.5 is going to leave you with 6 payments. Okay, all right, so we're going to take the variables here, and we're going to plug into our amortization, amortization formula, and that's going to give us our quarterly payment that we need to make. Okay. All right. So it says calculate the payment P. Okay, using these variables. Okay. So let's go ahead and plug everything in here. Okay. So there's the amortization formula. Okay. So our payment is going to be, okay, we're going to put the debt. Okay, times, okay, in the numerator here, you're going to have R over M. So it's going to be 0.176 divided by 4 all over 1 minus 1 plus r over m raised to the negative m times t. Okay, so this amortization formula also has a negative exponent involved. Okay, don't forget about that. Okay. All right, it is time to put this thing in the calculator. Okay, so this is our first time using the amortization formula in our calculator. Okay, again, you're going to do it the same way we've done the other formulas. Okay, you want to start with the most complicated part of the formula. Okay, that's obviously inside the brackets. Okay, but this time the denominator is more complicated than the numerator. So we're going to input the denominator first, and then we're going to go back and put the numerator and divide by the denominator. And then once we have the quantity in brackets, we can go ahead and multiply by 584. Okay, so let's give it a shot. Okay, so here we go. Here's our calculator. We're going to start with the denominator. So 1 minus, open parentheses, 1 plus 0.176 divided by 4, close parentheses, raise it to a power. Okay, you're going to have as the exponent negative 4 times 1.5. Okay, so this is going to be the denominator of what's in brackets. Okay, now you have to input the numerator. Okay, so I'm going to go to the numerator. I'm just going to be safe and put this in parentheses. Okay, so I'm going to put r over m. Okay, close parentheses. Okay, we want to divide this quantity by the denominator. Okay, the denominator is right here, this 0.227 and so on decimal. Okay, so I am going to go ahead. You can either input all those digits again, or you can do second negative sign to call up the previous answer. Okay, so if you hit enter, okay, this is going to give you the quantity in brackets. Okay, now we're going to take this and multiply by our debt, which is the purchase price. Okay, so we're going to multiply this by 584. Okay, and there we go. Okay, so this is going to be, our quarterly payment here that we're going to have to make to pay off this loan for the washing machine. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and jot this number down. Okay, so we're going to get P is equal to, this is what came out of the calculator. Okay, it's dollars and cents. You're going to have to round to the nearest cent here. Okay, so we've got 85 cents. There's a 9 that comes after, so we need to bump this up a cent. So our quarterly payment is going to be $112.86. Okay, all right, so what is going to happen now? Okay, so what does this mean? Okay, we're about to build an amortization schedule for this. Okay, so what this means is we are going to make 6 payments of $112.86. Okay, and that is going to, making those 6 payments, it is going to pay off the $584, which was the purchase price of the washing machine. And it's also, those payments are also going to pay off all the interest that accumulates on the unpaid balance. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go over to the next page. Okay. And I have an amortization schedule constructed. Okay. So you can see it takes up the whole page. Okay. And let's talk about what the columns represent here. Okay. So if you notice, the first column is referring to which payment number we're keeping track of. Okay, so remember we calculated on page 2 that there are going to be 6 total payments because there are quarterly payments and we're making those for 1.5 years. Okay, so there's 6 total payments. So in the first column, I'm going to go ahead and label the 6 payments. Okay, so we have the first payment, second, third, fourth, fifth payment, and then the last payment, the 6th payment. Okay. All right. So that's what the first column is keeping track of. Okay. And then the second column, okay, we're going to put down our payment every time we make a payment. How much did we pay? Okay. And then what we're going to do, okay, so this is what you're going to learn from this. Okay. Every time you make a payment, the payment first goes towards paying off any interest that has accumulated on the unpaid balance. Okay, so in this column right here, we're going to calculate the interest part of the payment. Okay, and then we are going to then, once we know the interest part of the payment, we can figure out the remaining amount, okay, and that will go towards the reducing the principal or the purchase price, okay? So, and then in this last column, we will calculate how much is still owed on the purchase price, okay? So maybe there's some unfamiliar terms that I'm using here, but I think as we go along, you will see how this works, okay? So basically what you need to kind of keep in mind here as we're going through this, every time you make a payment, it is going to first go towards paying off any interest that has accumulated. You've got to kill off the interest first. And then whatever is left from your payment, that goes towards reducing the purchase price, okay, which is also called the principal here, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and start. If you look in this first line, which I've kind of got grayed out here, okay, we're starting like when we buy that washing machine, our balance is immediately $584. That's the purchase price or the debt, okay? So then we will start calculating here. So the way it's going to work like in real life, okay, so if you went out and you bought your washing machine, like right now, okay, you don't start paying immediately, okay, because remember, in this example, everything is done quarterly, okay? So if you go out today, you buy your washing machine, you finance it, okay, you don't pay anything just yet, okay? You have to wait for an entire quarter to pass, okay? So 1 quarter, 3 months will pass, and then will come time to make your first payment, payment number 1, which is right here, okay? So how much are you going to pay? Well, how much did we calculate? What is the quarterly payment? This thing, okay? So our first payment is going to be $112.86, okay? So you probably get notified, hey, you need to make a payment. This is what you pay. You go online, you pay your bill, you're done. You forget about it, okay? But what is really going on behind the scenes, okay? How does this $112.86 work to pay off your debt, okay? All right, so like I said, part of this payment, a portion of this payment is going to go towards calculating any interest that has accumulated on the unpaid balance. Remember, when you purchased the washing machine, okay, you don't make the first payment until 3 months pass by. During that 3-month period, that 1 quarter period, this amount has been accruing interest, okay? So how much interest has built up in that 3-month period? Well, you have to calculate it, okay? So remember, this is a short time frame. It's 3 months here, so we're going to use our I equals P times R times T formula, okay? So how much interest has accrued? Well, the principal was $584. Okay, that's how much money has been earning interest during this time. Okay, we're going to multiply by the interest rate as a decimal, which is 0.176. Okay, times the time. Okay, this $584 sat there and earned interest for 3 months. So remember, time's going to be 3 months out of 12. Okay, so you would put this in the calculator. I'm only going to do this once for you. Okay, so you would do 584 times 0.176 times 3 months out of 12, okay? And this is going to give us the amount of interest that has accrued, okay, during this 3-month period, okay? We're going to have to round this to the nearest cent, okay? So if I go back to this, let me jot this down, okay? So this is what came out of the calculator, okay? It is 69 cents. There's a 6 that comes after, so you're going to have to bump it up, okay? So $25.70 worth of interest accrued during the first quarter, okay? All right, so what happens here, okay? This $112.86, okay, it immediately has to go towards paying off this interest, okay? So then we have to see how much is left. So in this column, we're going to look at the non-interest part of the payment, okay? So we paid $112.86, okay? That first has to pay off the interest, which is $25.70, okay? So we have to subtract that out, okay? If you go to your calculator and you subtract that, that's going to be $87.16, okay? So this is called the non-interest part of the payment, okay? If you took this interest amount plus the non-interest part, that's adding up to the $112.86, okay? So again, what happens, okay, you make the first payment of $112.86, okay, immediately we pay off the interest, which is $25.70, okay? That leaves $87.16 left from the payment, okay? That amount, the $87.16, goes towards reducing this $584, which is the principal, the debt, the purchase price, whatever you want to call it, okay? So your unpaid balance, and when we're talking about the unpaid balance, okay, this is what is still owed on the purchase price. That's what unpaid balance means. What is still owed on the purchase price? Okay, so what is still owed? Well, 584, okay, minus the non-interest part of the payment. Okay, so we subtract these two things, and you can do that in your calculator. After the first payment, you still owe $496.84 against this $584 purchase price. Okay, so hopefully you got a feel for how this works after the first payment. Okay, the whole key here is that every time you make a payment, okay, it immediately pays off any interest that has accrued, okay, since the last payment. Okay, and then whatever's left from the payment goes towards reducing the purchase price. Okay, all right, so let's do this again. Okay, let's see how this works for the second payment. Okay, so after you make the first payment, okay, you still owe $496.84 on the purchase price. Okay, so what's going to happen? Well, you're not going to make another payment for another quarter or another 3 months. Okay, so this amount, okay, the amount that you still owe on the purchase price, it is going to earn interest. Okay, so then what will happen is it will come time to make that second payment. Okay, so let's say our next quarter passes, the next 3 months pass. Okay, it is going to be time to make another $112.86 payment. Okay, so we need to calculate how much interest has accrued, okay, since the last time we made a payment. Well, how much did we still owe on the purchase price of the washing machine? Well, we're going to use our I equals PRT. Okay, so we still owed $496.84. Okay, that's our principal that we still owe on the purchase price. Okay, times R, which is 0.176. Okay, and again, this amount right here, the $496.84, that's been accruing interest for 3 months, 1 quarter. So 3 out of 12 is going to be your time here. Okay, punch this in the calculator. Okay, you're going to get 21.86096. Okay, you've got to round this to the nearest cent, so this is going to be $21.86. Okay, so that's how much interest has accrued since the last payment. Okay, so what happens when you make payment number 2? Okay, well, you paid $112.86. Immediately, you have to pay off the interest that has accrued since the last payment. So you're going to subtract out the $21.86 to pay that off. Okay, plop that into a calculator. Okay, that means $91 is the non-interest part of the payment. Okay, so now this $112.86, you pay off the $21.86 worth of interest. That leaves you $91 that goes towards reducing the purchase price. Okay, so after the second payment, how much do you still owe on the purchase price? Well, you owe $496.84, the previous balance on the purchase price, minus this non-interest part of the payment, which goes towards reducing your debt. Okay, so subtract out the $91. Okay, so after payment number 2, you still owe $405.84 against the purchase price. Okay. All right. So we keep doing this. Okay. So I'm going to kind of quickly go through this for you so you can see, because we have to do this for all 6 payments. Okay. So hopefully you can see how this is working. Okay. All right. So this is how much you still owe towards or against your purchase price. Okay. $405.84 after the second payment. Okay. So now you're going to have to wait another quarter before making the third payment, okay? So when it's time to make the third payment, you make it. That payment is $112.86, okay? So how does this third payment work towards, how does it work as for paying off your debt here, okay? So again, once you make that payment, okay, it is immediately going to pay off any interest that has accumulated since the last payment, okay? So we need to figure out how much interest that is, okay? So you're going to use your I equals PRT, okay? So during the last quarter, $405.84, your balance, that's what's been earning interest at 0.176, 17.6%, okay? It's been earning interest for 3 months out of 12, okay? So pop that in your calculator, okay? So that's going to give us this amount, okay? 12, or sorry, oops, I got the wrong thing here. It should be 17, what's the wrong number? Okay, if you put it in your calculator, you'll get 17.85696, okay? You got to round it to the nearest cent because this is dollars and cents, okay? So $17.86, okay? That's how much interest has accrued since the last payment, okay? All right, so this third payment, okay, of $112.86, it immediately pays off the $17.86 worth of interest, okay? So now we're going to subtract out the interest to figure out the non-interest part of the payment, okay? So that's going to be an even $95, okay? So once our interest has been paid off for this quarter, okay, this remaining amount, $95, will go towards reducing the purchase price. Okay, so after the third payment, okay, you still owe $405.84 minus $95. You still owe $310.84 against the $584 purchase price. Okay. All right, so we're halfway there. Okay, so after 3 payments, that is your balance. Okay. All right, so now we wait another quarter. Okay, so another quarter passes, and then it's time to make another $112.86 payment. Okay, so in the meantime, okay, this $310.84 has been accruing interest. How much interest? Plug it into PRT. Okay, so it's going to be $310.84 times the interest rate times the time, which is 1 quarter, 3 months out of 12. Okay, so this is going to give us, let's see, 13.67696. Put it in the calculator, round to the nearest cent. Okay, so $13.68 worth of interest has accrued. Okay, so when you make that fourth payment, the $112.86 has to immediately pay off the $13.68 worth of interest, okay? So the non-interest part of the payment will be $99.18, okay? And this $99.18 will be applied towards the purchase price, what is still owed on that, okay? So after payment number 4, how much do you still owe on the purchase price? You owe, take your previous balance, $310.84, subtract out the non-interest part of the payment, the $99.18, okay? So you still owe, after payment number 4, $211.66, okay? And again, that is against the purchase price of $584, okay? All right, almost there, 2 more payments, okay? So you have to wait another quarter, another 3 months before you make another payment, okay? So finally, when payment number 5 rolls around, you're gonna pay $112.86, okay? You need to first pay off the interest, so we need to see how much interest has accumulated during that last quarter, okay? So plug into I equals P times R times T, okay? So our previous balance was $211.66. That's what was accruing interest at 17.6%, okay, for 3 months out of 12, okay? Put that in your calculator. It will give you 9.31304, okay? Round that to the nearest cent, okay? So $9.31 worth of interest has accrued, okay? Your 5th payment, will immediately go towards paying off this $9.31 worth of interest. Okay, so then subtract it out to see what's left, $103.55. Okay, and that remainder will be used to knock down this balance. Okay, so after the fifth payment, what do you owe on the $584 purchase price? You owe $211.66, the previous balance, minus this non-interest part, which is $103.55. You still owe $108.11. Okay. All right, one more payment to go, okay? If you notice, once you make the fifth payment, okay, this amount right here, $108.11, it is less than the quarterly payment, which is $112.86, okay? But remember what has to happen. Before you make that last payment, this amount is going to accrue interest, okay? When I make the last payment, okay, I'm going to leave this blank. I'm not going to automatically write down the $112.86 because the last payment might be off by a few cents. So what I'm going to do is calculate the interest, okay, and then I'll know for sure how much you owe for the last payment, okay? All right, so at the end of the fifth payment, you still owe $108.11 against the purchase price, okay? So let's calculate, okay, because it's going to sit here for 3 months and accrue interest in that last quarter, okay? So we need to figure out how much interest accrues in that last quarter, okay? So let's go do our P times R times T, okay? So we're going to have $108.11 times 17.6% as a decimal times 3 months out of 12. Okay, if you put that in your calculator, this is going to give you 4.75684. Round this to the nearest cent. Okay, so this is going to be $4.76 worth of interest. Okay, so now that we know that, we can calculate exactly what our last payment is going to be. Okay, our sixth and final payment is going to be the previous balance, $108.11, plus the last bit of interest that accrued. So we need to add these two together. Okay, and if you do that, you're actually going to get that your last payment is $112.87. So it differs by a penny. Okay. All right, so let's fill out the remaining columns here, okay? So you make this last payment of $112.87, okay? It immediately is going to pay off the interest of $4.76, okay? That is going to leave you with an exact balance of $108.11, okay? That amount is going to be used to pay against the principal here, which is exactly the outstanding balance is exactly $108.11. Okay, so what is left to owe? You take your previous balance, subtract out the non-interest payment, you end up with a zero balance. Okay, washing machine has been paid off. Okay, all right. In this last row, I have us add everything up. Okay, so right here, okay, we're going to make our totals. Okay, we're going to add up all the payments. Okay, so if you add up your five payments of $112.86 plus that last payment of $112.87, this is going to be a total of $677.17. Okay, if you add up all the box numbers in the interest column, okay, that is going to be $93.17. Okay, if you add up all the non-interest parts, okay, this fourth column, add up all the numbers in the fourth column, okay, this is going to give you exactly $584. Okay, so here are your totals. Okay, so basically what happened here, you paid not $584 for the washing machine, but you paid a total of $677.17. Okay, that total paid off the $584 purchase price, which is right here, okay? And it also paid off all the interest that accrued, which was $93.17, okay? So if you add these two numbers, you get the total amount that you paid, okay? All right, so hopefully from this amortization schedule, you can see that this month, our regular payment that you make, okay, so in our case, we had a quarterly payment of $112.86, okay? That figure takes into consideration the purchase price plus all the interest, okay? So every time you make a payment, it immediately goes towards paying off any interest that has accrued. The remainder goes towards reducing the principal or the purchase price, whatever you want to call it, okay? All right, so hopefully that gave you some insight into how every time you make a payment on something, how that's really working, okay? On the next page, okay, I'm just going to summarize what we did, okay? Again, this is just writing down the last row of the amortization table. You made total payments of $677.17 to pay off the washing machine. The washing machine cost $584, so that's the debt we reduced, and the total amount of interest that we paid was $93.17. So again, if you add these two numbers, that's your total payments. Okay. All right. So now we're going to talk about, we're still going to stay on the washing machine example, but we're going to talk about the concept of unpaid balance next.